Today, you have one job. It's just to make our guests feel welcome. Krause is here! Yeah, he is. Look how handsome he is. Look at him. Welcome to the sofa. Yeah, we usually go for the sofa. These two are just a decoration. But if you want an armchair, you go for an armchair.
No. All about the sofa.
Yeah, you can kick back when we're in here. These guys, they've been on the beanbags all day. They're having a great time.
Do I look as relaxed as Deadpool?
Yeah. There was a Deadpool walking around with a guitar earlier. It was lovely. Just singing songs.
Serenading everybody.
Yeah. It's why you gotta love Comic Cons. You just eventually just go, yeah, I saw that. That's happened.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. How you doing?
Doing very well.
Yeah?
Very well.
Yeah. You having a nice time in Gent?
It's beautiful.
Isn't it?
Yes.
I've been asking everyone, is it your first time here or?
First time in Gent, yes.
Yeah? But you've done Belgium before?
Bruges, a day.
Yeah.
So it's a very quick, short trips.
Oh, it is so beautiful. Again, big shout out for your city. Very lovely. They'll give you, if you want restaurant tips, we can get them anytime.
Perfect.
Yeah, but you just tell us what you want. We got we had a spaghetti restaurant earlier. Any tips for Brian?
Where's the best waffle?
Yeah, where is the best waffle? You were looking for a dessert last night, weren't you?
Yeah.
Where's the best desserts in Gent? Where? I'll find out in the Q&A. There's got to be good waffles. They don't want to tell us.
I'll find it.
Earlier on they're like, that's nice. Now they're like, we're not telling you.
It's after lunch. Everyone's a little.
Everyone's like, yeah, we just want a little snooze. So you having a good time out there? They've been
having
nice
a great time. Yes. Here with my son, and he's I don't know, he's out there somewhere. I think he was riding the broom. That's not him, but
just you're working. He's just there. Hey there. How old's your son?
23.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, mate. You don't look, I'll say this, and this is just a very out-and-out compliment. You don't look old enough to have a 23-year-old son.
Thank you.
Yeah, if he's got your genes, he's going to age well. Oh, yeah. We're going to get into the usual chat in a second. Have you come over from LA to Maryland?
Yes, from Los Angeles.
Just flew in today or yesterday?
No, we flew in Monday to Brussels.
Oh, nice.
We were there for 2 days, and then we went up to Amsterdam for 2 days.
How was that?
Fantastic.
Nice.
You know what I'm talking about. I mean the waffles and the art.
It's a beautiful thing. Are you seeing quite a bit of Europe while you're here, or
just this week? Then I fly home on Monday.
That is the life, isn't it, of anyone who's acted or done anything of any sort of renown. You just end up flying in and out of places.
A lot of times you're in and out, and you don't really get a chance
see a lot of hotels.
To see a city. People are like, oh yeah, you went there, and I'm like, yeah, but I went to dinner.
One thing that I would say about you, if you look at your CV, you seem to be constantly working from just all the time. Is that the case?
It's kind of the, we make it look that way.
I know, you never know, but you always seem to.
But I've been fortunate, and that, for 30 years I've been able to make a living at acting.
Yeah.
So, it's a few projects a year at least that keep me going, and now I'm writing and getting behind the camera a little more, so
nice.
So I can look like I'm always working.
Yeah.
But no, I'm fortunate to, I don't know what to say. It's been a blessing.
But I mean, even not just acting and behind the camera, like this sort of thing. I imagine you're quite constant, because Charmed is it's never gone away, has it? It's always huge.
It's still popular.
Did you notice this? I think it was one of the most binge shows on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Genuinely, I think
I've never watched it, by the way.
Have you? I was gonna say. Well, a lot of people don't watch what they're in because, some people just feel really uncomfortable seeing themselves because it's different. people to people.
It is different. I think we're hardest on ourselves.
Yeah.
We critique ourselves the most, and it's very hard to get into the show. Like, I'm a huge fan of movies and television, and I watch everything. But when I watch myself, I don't get into the story. There's a huge detachment there of, you know, I'll watch the show and it's like you go into the fantasy world, as we all do. But when I'm in it, I'm like,
Get into it.
I look awful. Oh, I said it like that. You know, it's all that.
It's interesting, isn't it? I won't ask you what, but every person who sees themselves on the screen, there's always one thing that they focus in on, isn't it? That no one else will ever notice, and it's amazing. Like I think it'd be weird if you ever spoke to anyone who's done any sort of, especially screen acting, who's gone, "Do you like watching yourself, man?" "Yeah, love it." You're never gonna get
I
it.
meet some people that are really into that. But,
Really?
Yeah, in Hollywood, you know, you meet all types, but you know, if anybody's an artist at any point or anything that, you know, where you're creative, I think you're somewhat of a perfectionist, and you know, art is never finished. So, you know, in movies and television, there's a finished product, but you know, I'm always like, oh, one more take. Let's do it one more different way. Use this angle, like. So to me, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't believe what I do. I don't, you know, I always feel like it could be better.
But I guess that there's a really, in any sort of creativity, that sense, that feeling, is always what makes you achieve more and be better. Because if you just go, yeah, that's great, you never push to the next level. And
That's what I got.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yes. One take, done.
Done. Thank you. That's all you're gonna get.
There's an interesting thing. Someone said this to me years ago. In any sort of, especially performance, a lot of people see themselves on a scale. At one end there's art, and one end there's entertainment, and somewhere in between is where you fall. And there are those people who you see them, especially old school actors, who are like, they'll clock in, they'll clock out. It's a job.
Right.
Whereas there is that other side of it where you're like, I want to get this right, and I want this to be a process. Do you find you slide on that scale?
Yeah, I've met so many people that are, it's, you know, it's like you step, you know, it's, do you get into the role as, are you feeling it the whole way, or are you performing it?
Yeah.
And I'm very much of, you know, I am, and I need to feel what the character is feeling.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm performing well, because otherwise I feel like I'm coming up and I don't want to give a performance. I want to live the life of the character. So for me, it's, if I don't feel like I really live that moment, then it can't be a great performance. But if you want me to come up and sing and dance, hey, but it's kind of not what I do. But yeah, I feel like I need to feel what my character feels. Otherwise, it's not going to be believable to.
Are you one of those actors then that, because that's your process, do you find that it's hard sometimes to, especially if you've had a challenging scene, to wash that off at the end of the day? Do you sometimes come back?
Sometimes, yeah, you take it home with you and over the length of a project for sure. And that's kind of the switch you got to turn off, or you know, sometimes you need just a little downtime.
Yeah.
You know, because so much of it is you, right? It needs to be a part of what you are. So if it's emotional or, you know, filled with hate, if you're a murderer, whatever it is, you know, you've just spent weeks or months living in this state of.
Yeah.
So you do kind of need a decompression.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? If you are like doing that sort of method, like say you're feeling it, technically, chemically, you'll feel that as well. So it'll take its toll on your body as well, especially
For sure.
if you do something where you've got to put anger and hatred into it, that will wash through you.
Yeah, the movie I did, Cyrus, not many people saw it, but I was a serial killer, and we spent 2 months of me being a serial killer. You know, and a cannibal at that. So when I was done with it, I was like, I need something with puppies and balloons.
Big playing vegetables.
Yeah, I need happy. And it took a while. Like I went into this whole dark kind of world, and you know, life was dark for a little while. But then sure enough, got next movie, Puppies and Balloons. I kid you not. It was fantastic. Yeah. I said, thank you.
And that when you're like, I need to be a killer again.
Yeah, I need to know it's all this happy.
It's such a fascinating thing. Like I'm obsessed with like a lot of us, because we see the finished products and especially in things like this, we consume them and it becomes a part of us. But I'm obsessed with processes because everyone is so different, and like a set or a film or TV or whatever, it's so symbiotic. You know, so many different sort of people doing their own thing. I find it fascinating that anything gets finished without people just killing each other.
It is. It's one of the mediums where you could have your own technique. I could have my own technique. Everybody in the scene can, but yet somehow we can all do it with different techniques and still make it work.
Yeah.
Because ultimately we need to connect somewhere. And there's not many other arts where you can bring 10 different techniques into one room and have it work, you know?
Yeah, and then on the side of that you've got 10 other techniques that are getting that look and stuff. Again, we were talking earlier with Brian Muir just about how beautiful the whole process is, where you've got so many different creativities making one end product, and that's what people see, that end product, and
right.
You don't see all the little details and it's fascinating. With Charmed as well, I'm going to talk about this because about legacy and stuff. There's Charmed in that beautiful space in TV where you're a few years after Buffy came out, and TV shifts around the mid-90s, late 90s, especially in the early noughties, where you start getting what we see now in Netflix, which is everything's becoming big sort of moving towards more filmic style storytelling and stuff like that, and those ideas of big arcs of characters and things like that. And like Charmed and Buffy are probably the first two that took that like big bad and big series arcs and stuff like that. Do you find it amazing now knowing the sort of the legacy it left with? Because you don't know when you go into a TV program.
No, I had no idea what would happen with. I mean, it was a job that you figure you're going to do a couple episodes and not 8 years. So it was. But I think it's wonderful how TV's progressed.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful that you can now go home to Netflix and watch 8 episodes or 12 episodes of your favorite show in a day, or like I do.
And we all do it.
But it's a whole season, and the storylines are spread out, and so often TV's like you wanted to plug in for 45 minutes, and you needed the entire arc right there. Yeah. And I think they used to think that was our audience. They only have, if you come in and see episode 5 and you need a beginning, middle, and end, you don't need the whole season. Yeah. But now that we can binge everything and watch it, back to back to back, the storyline has progressed through an entire season. And I think as a viewer and as an actor, it's nice. Yes, you have your up and down of 45 minutes, but there's always a long game. And it's like life, Life doesn't happen to you all in one day. It's years or whatever it is to go through an emotion or a breakup or a marriage or whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's amazing as well, isn't it? Like, because people do invest themselves into something, like they go through the process as if it was their own emotions. And like say now, it's interesting with that binge culture that we have now. Like say Charmed, so binge on Netflix, it's ridiculous. But like, it's weird what it's done to the way you consume TV, because like now, if I see something that's like, and next week on this, I'm like, what? Like, you don't have that shelf anymore. Like,
I don't watch any shows on regular television.
No.
I wait for Netflix and then I watch 8 episodes straight.
It's crazy.
I don't leave the house.
Do you I'll be booked up all week, thank you very much.
Right?
Yeah. It's those ones where you're at 3 in the morning, you go, can I just do one more? Yeah.
But then the next day, you're like, all of a sudden you've skipped 3 or 4 episodes, and you go back a couple extra. Watch the same episode 4 times.
yeah. Do you know, because you obviously you work in TV and in film and stuff, specifically with TV though, do you find it interesting now that it's changed the whole process? Netflix is the ultimate example, like, whereas writers used to have to fit a time slot. Something I notice now is they just fit the story for that episode. So you get some shows that are 42 minutes long and then the next episode's an hour and 12 or something.
Right.
And I find that fascinating, that it's changed the process of storytelling and writing in its own medium.
100%. Our show, which was 42 minutes, you knew every 8 pages, every 16 pages, there would have to be as they would say, a cliff ending for commercial.
Yeah.
So you knew this scene we're tying it up because this is the scene before the commercial.
Yeah.
So they wanted it to hit a certain mark to have that. You don't want the fan to go away for 3 minutes. You knew that this scene had to have a certain energy to it, so the fan wanted to come back.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the ability to fast forward. So yes, you do the show in little 8-minute blocks.
It's fascinating,
But now,
yeah,
you don't need that because there's no real commercials in the Netflix, Amazon, Hulu type of.
I mean, there's something that when the writer's strike happened, I remember that's a big point in that sort of writing shift where, because episodes used to be, they used to do the big 24 episode series and stuff like that.
Right.
And then they started getting shorter, 16, 14, stuff like that. But you used to have exactly that, those cliffhangers where it was like, big hook at the beginning, big hook at the end, and then, barbs in between.
Yeah.
And you don't see that now. When you watch that, you notice it more because, like saying now, they're getting sort of, and we tell this story, and that's how long that part of that story takes.
That's right. So you have the whole hour to
Do you find
take you more on a ride, if you will.
Do you find that changes as an actor, or is it still the same job? Do you find that?
I don't think it's. I think the writing's changed, right? So I think as an actor, you get to kind of be free. You're not stuck. You don't know that in a 45-minute block.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to hit this emotion 7 times. It's like, no, we're gonna hold off, and then you'll have one crescendo, if you will. It's fascinating to me how it's all changing. It's more of a feature film type of viewership than your typical television used to be.
Well, I mean, especially in the last 5 years, film's sort of been overtaken a little bit by TV because the technology to make it is essentially the same now, and the budgets are on some things ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if you watch it. I know some people will, but everyone's watching Game of Thrones, obviously.
Right.
But I noticed, like, you see the budget in series 1 and 2 where there'll be a battle, and you sort of just see the end where some horses are walking past, and now it's like a whole 80 minutes feature.
Yeah.
And that sort of money in TV is so relatively new.
15 million an episode or something. It's outrageous.
It's not even Friends got that.
I mean, 15 million?
And like, but this, the worlds they're building are becoming so like huge now. It's changed everything. Like a film, you're in now. With the TV, you're like, I'm gonna make you love this person, and in 4 episodes, you're.
Well, I think even with films, like how many people are going to the theaters? Yes, you go to see Aquaman, you go to see Avengers, but most people are getting their viewership at home with Netflix. So. Hulu, Amazon, whatever they do. So I think the money's gone away from that. Independent film has gone away, right? That smaller. It's there,
but it's not
as
published,
much.
is it? It's interesting.
It's all about that guy. Right? $200 million popcorn movie.
We've structured it so you have to shoot exactly as we drew it in the storyboard. It's fascinating. You say it's interesting you say about indie films though, because I think indie films had a real boom, but they don't have the distribution. So whereas it used to be distribution was easier to gain, now it's like anyone can shoot a film. It might not be great, but to get it out to people is the hardest thing.
It's true.
Everyone's like, look at my movie.
Look at my movie. I got a movie. Okay, put it on
Vimeo,
YouTube. How do you get people to watch? And unless Netflix or Amazon pick it up, you're kind of in this, pay-per-view sort of system. And I don't know how many people are going on and watching. Are you pay-per-click, $1.99 to buy a movie? Or do you just $12.99 a month and get unlimited access.
Yeah, it's again like especially I love films an interesting one because you can track film quite steadily, and then TV is fascinating because it's evolving constantly. And like I say, like when Charm came along, it is in that perfect era where it's rewriting how TV's done, and that's the model that they use today. Like those night shows, like I say, Buffy, Charmed, and then you get other stuff out of that genre like Sopranos and things like that. They make the model that we got now. Those big serials sort of just keep you introduced into these characters and taking them through those journeys and then having those arcs. Like it's fascinating.
It's different.
So I will nerd out about this all day. I am going to check the time because what happens is I get onto something I nerd out about, and then this happens where I go, I need to see if anyone wants to ask you a question. Generally, if you've got any questions for Ryan, raise your hand. I know you're all very comfy. This man's basically turned into a kangaroo. It's great. Just looks so relaxed, sir. Just really does. Any questions, get your hand up and we'll get Thomas out with the microphone. Yeah, we got one at the front straight away.
Yes.
And thank you for coming to Belgium. Since you talked about Netflix and watching it, I would like to know what your favorite Netflix series are, or what do you recommend on Netflix?
Oh man.
Do you need a box ball? In at 5!
No, the latest show I've been watching, Designated Survivor. I think Kiefer's a great actor and everything that goes on there, and the idea of, I don't want to say it out loud, but our government being, eradicated and restarted is kind of an interesting idea. And he's fantastic. So I'm all caught up. I've watched it literally all in 4 days. So I'm waiting for season 3 to drop so I can watch that tomorrow.
Staying an extra day just in the hotel.
That's the one I like. And then on Amazon, Tin Star. Anybody watch Tin Star?
No, it's on my watch list.
Oh man.
Really?
Tim Roth is...
Yeah, everyone says.
He's one of the best actors we have, and the storyline of it is... You gotta watch it. It's great, it's great.
That's what everyone says, but then no one tells you anything. It's like, you just gotta watch it.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah. Tin Star, everyone.
Tin Star.
So with this, like, I'm always fascinated asking actors this. Is there any show that you love so much you go, I would just love even just like a background part in that. Like some people just want to be in it so much. Because you see it all the time where you go, what's that?
I mean, who doesn't want to be in Star Wars? Like, put a mask on me. I'm Star Troop number 7.
Yeah, it was like, Daniel Craig, wasn't it?
Absolutely, I would love that. But as far as like show, Tin Star, Designated Survivor, Game of Thrones. I don't have to speak. I can't do an English accent very well, so.
So I'm from it, and I can't do it well, don't worry.
No, just put me in the background, I'm getting stretched out. I'll be like, ah! Whatever that is, I don't know.
I felt it, I knew what you're saying.
I didn't do it!
2 years later, yes, when I went in for the role of stretched out guy, I didn't think they'd make it into a feature film.
Yeah, and then all I did is lay there and said, freedom!
We loved it. There's
all the brave Howard fans out there.
Questions? Get your hand up for Brian. Yeah, we got someone down here. Lovely stuff. Thank you, Thomas.
I was just wondering how some of the effects on the show were done, like the orbing or the teleporting. Like, how was that filmed? Because you had to disappear from the scene, actually.
Well, originally, when we started in 1998, special effects in television were, you had to do them practically, and you would shoot plates, so you shoot 3 different ways. So you'd film, I'm there, I step out, then you film, you take everybody out of the picture, and you film what's known as a plate. You don't move the camera, and then you layer it. So then next thing you know, you put everybody back in and you film that. And then you layer the 3 pieces on top of each other and I slowly disappear. While we were doing our show, CGI, late 90s has become what you see it is today. the guys that actually were on our show doing a lot of that are a big part of what you're seeing today. So I first started the show where I had to do all the plates. I had literal lights in my hands, and we did it all very practically. And then by the end of the show, they're like, no, just stand there, or you can just step out. And there was no more plates. They could literally go in with the computer and just erase, write things, put a light, and that's what happens today. Or, you know, you put yourself on a green screen stage and they paint the world around you. And that all was why we were on the show. There was no green screen when we started the show. They actually used a blue screen, and that changed when they realized blue wasn't the right color, green was better for laying things in, and that all changed while we were doing the show. So we kind of saw the development of CGI in a way that, I mean, what it is today, you would never know if they were on top of a mountain doing something, or, you know, if they were in a soundstage doing it. I mean, you've seen Avengers, you've seen Iron Man, and, you know, it looks real, whereas you used to have to do so much of it, you know, on wires or practically. So it changed. So by the time season 8 came around, they were like, okay, everyone just step out. No, so it progressed. It made life easier for the actor and everybody else. It doesn't take as long, I suppose.
With that, because 98 was the first season, so I assume shooting 97. It wasn't ever on film, was it? It was always digital.
No, we shot all 8 years on film.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was, they didn't want to transfer over, better quality. You know, the digital camera.
Yeah, it would have been many
even today, the red camera, you know, the Arri and different cameras they work with. Remember, they're trying to make a digital camera look like a film, right?
24 frames per second.
That's right. You're not trying to get a film camera to look digital. You're trying to make it look like film, because there's nothing that has the resonance and the depth that a film camera has, and what it captures, and the way the light pixelates and the whole bit. So that's still kind of an issue today, just with all, but now the ease that you get through these new cameras and what they say they figured out and the way they can post.
Yeah.
So we would have to take our film and process it, throw that into a computer, right?
Yeah.
Do all your edits, and then throw that back out in a digital form. Very expensive. So now today, I think, of all the shows you watch and most movies, there's maybe a handful of films
and they're
that are done on film.
But you can see
nobody's
it
on film anymore.
Like, there's so many films I watch and I instantly Google, what was that shot on? Because you can just tell.
It's the color, and it doesn't hold. Digital doesn't capture the depth, the way light works. It just doesn't capture it. So a lot of times you'll film on, you know, an area, red or whatever, and then in post-production, when you do color correction and everything else, you know, they go out and you'll layer it to look like film.
It's a really weird thing happened a few years ago where a lot of the, especially TV stuff that was shot on film, they started to digitize and clean up for like Blu-ray editions and stuff.
Right.
And they had to try and figure out how to make it look the same, because the process was obviously different than the way it is. So they had to basically digitize it, clean it up, and then try and make it look the same grade. And loads of things went really wrong. There's a Buffy special edition that everyone hates, because all the gothic lighting comes out of it.
Right.
And you can just see the prosthetics, you can see all the bits that should be in the shadow and stuff, and it's fascinating.
Well, a lot of times, like on news shows, you'll go in and, you know, it used to be I had to put a ton of makeup on, and the problem is when you do that on these new cameras,
you see it.
You see everything. So I look 20 years older, but you see the makeup, and there's so many movies I've done on digital that I just think, man, you know, like. And so now I'll walk on and they'll be like, no, you don't need any makeup, and they just, a little powder so you're not sweaty, and you go ahead. And that's got to be so much harder for people to do prosthetics, and that's why the budget on the CGI and the post-production have gone, it's more expensive on the post than it is
there's a thing
on actual production.
On I think the Hobbit trilogy, where Peter Jackson wanted it to be 60 frames a second and really crisp and high def. And exactly that happened, where they could see the prosthetics, so they had to CGI over the prosthetics to get rid of the joints and stuff. And then it's crazy because they're just that crisp. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why you see some guys here and there go back to film.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you get a guy like James Cameron who's like, I will never go back.
Yeah.
And I think that's because the ease of editing and what you can do with it in post as far as special effects go.
Yeah, and the cost alone is...
The cost alone.
Do we have any more questions on the floor? Sorry, I realised we got a minute there. I'm just going to check the time because I realise it. Yeah, we will wrap it up very soon. So we got a question at the front again, Thomas. And then if you've got any more, we'll squeeze them in.
Who rode the broom? Hands? Anybody?
Anyone? And then, yeah. Did you last? That's not bad. That's not bad. I got on it last time, straight off. It was terrible. Terrible. Have you done it yet?
No.
I haven't.
I kind of got it.
Sorry.
That's fine. I was wondering, since you said you tried to really feel what the character feels, what's it like to play a character for such a long time as you played Leo?
Oh, boy. You know, it just became a part of my life. You know, so much of Leo, it was me, right? Because there was no way to put something on for so long, and I think that is with most actors, is that, you know, every single character is a piece of themselves. It has to be, otherwise you can't be honest. So there's a piece of me in Leo, and I think as we went on, the writers write for you, and so you can walk in and just be as natural as possible. You know, the beauty for our show is that I was always playing something different. You know, you're not just the doctor, you're not just the cop. You know, Charmed is great because you'd have the girl that would be the Fury, she'd be a Wendigo, she'd be, you know, you were always, it was magic. So we were never bored with a storyline or constantly playing the same thing. I mean, Leo is a little boring, right? Hands, yes. But, you know, I was also a father to a young child at that point, and it was nice to be the guy who was driving the greater good, the message of do the right thing and the great things happen. So, you know, I was proud to be, you know, the good guy. You know, and now that he's older, you know, we're getting a little darker in our roles.
Just picking up on that, out of curiosity, and feel free to no comment this. When you play a character who's in a relationship for so long, and that's kind of the core of part of that character, because you say you feel it, do you feel like...
Yeah, like with Holly, you know, 8 years.
Try to tactfully put it.
Yeah, I mean, I love her to death, and we're still great friends today. But I had known her before the show, and my wife knew her, and they were friends, so there was a bit of awkwardness to it. So it was like, it was really like kissing my sister. So I could have the love, and we could look at each other. But you know, when it came down to it, it's like, oh,
that's the one that you didn't feel.
Like, like, okay, get away from me, you know. So you just kind of, you know, substituted, and you know, she's fantastic, and I love her to death, and so that was easy. But yeah, as far as passion and it was a little awkward.
Was that first kiss weird then if you knew it?
It was a little awkward, but you know, I was also, you know, I was like really intrigued by it.
Yeah.
I had a crush on her before I got married, so, you know, I was like, this is great.
Did you...
Leo loves you.
Did you go into that scene like just before they roll? Like, we're gonna kiss in a second, or we just like just don't.
Well, so much of it, it's, you know, you're playing a role, so, and you're around a million people, and I don't know how you feel. We didn't just meet in a bar, gonna go make out. This is, so, you know, there's a line that of what, you know, hey, it's like, okay, are you okay if I grab you here, touch you there, do this. How far do you want to go? And I usually let the woman dictate however it wants to go. And if she says no, let's go for it. All right, let's go for it. But otherwise, it's you never want to be that actor that comes and goes, all right, make out scene. And I know, and I've heard millions of stories that people do this, but I was taught early on of, you know, just there's a line, a performance, and there's a line of how that goes. So.
And that goes in real life as well, guys.
That's right. And Holly would have killed me. So, and my ex-wife, and that show.
And the list gets.
Yeah, well, you know, Shannon would stand there and Alyssa, and they'd be like, "Come on! Have a little tongue, make out," and they'd stand off camera and be like, it was awful. And I'm like, we're professionals.
It's like being at a party when you're a teenager.
Yeah,
like,
it was. I was so nervous. And then I'm sitting there going, well, will I stay on the show if I don't? Like, yeah, Shannon and Alyssa didn't make it easy.
I think, unfortunately, I'm getting the nods. We've come to the end of our time, but this has been so lovely for me. I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. All you have to do, show him some love. So, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Krause.
Thank you.
You're here
It's
all
great to
weekend,
be
aren't
here.
you?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
I'll be in the big room.
Yeah, go see him. Again, be respectful, guys. Once again, Brian Krause, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.